Battles at Sea by Carol Domblewski. Table of Contents. Captured or destroyed? Page 3. The Prize. Page 6. Battle at Sea. Page 8. Privateers. Page 11. Captured or destroyed? The American ship called General Pickering was deep in the Atlantic Ocean. Armed with 16 guns, she carried 45 men. The General Pickering was on her way to a port in Spain. It was late in the day. In the hold of the ship were the usual provisions for a long trip. She also carried a load of sugar. But sugar was not on the captain's mind just now. A huge British cutter was bearing down on his ship. Captain Harridan knew that meant the British wanted to capture his ship. The British ship began chasing the General Pickering. Shots rang out. No ship was safe on the Atlantic Ocean during the American Revolution. Captain Harridan knew his ship was no match for the bigger British ship. But today was her lucky day. The General Pickering escaped into the dark night. This battle at sea took place in 1780, during the middle of the American Revolution. The Americans were trying to defeat the greatest power of the time. Britain had the strongest navy in the world, and its ships ruled the seas. How could the Americans possibly win? The Americans had no organized navy or fleet of warships, but they did have brave men. The ships. Brig, a merchant ship with 2 masts. Frigate, a fast Navy ship with 20 to 60 guns. Cutter, a small armed ship with just 1 mast. Captain Harridan and his men were willing to fight for the freedom to sail the seas. But many of the British ships were much larger and better equipped than the American ships. Captain Harridan and his crew met the British again a few nights later. This British ship was called the Golden Eagle. At first, the American ship tried to avoid the British ship, but in the darkness, the General Pickering almost sailed straight into her. Captain Harridan had to think fast, for this was no time to be tentative. He made up his mind to bluff. He called out to the British ship, saying his ship was a frigate, a large ship that was bigger than the British ship. Harridan hoped his bluff would work. Fear might persuade the British to back down. At close range, a frigate could have easily sunk the Golden Eagle. The British captain had a difficult decision to make. If his ship were taken, then his crew would be put into bondage as prisoners. So he surrendered. The bluff had worked perfectly. The prize. Now the Golden Eagle was Captain Harridan's prize. He and his men owned the boat and all that was on her. Harridan sent men to take command of the Golden Eagle. The British captain stared at the American ship. He saw that the Golden Eagle wasn't any bigger than his own ship. In fact, she was a little smaller. He felt foolish. Captain Harridan sailed on with his prize following behind him, but his adventure was far from over. As he neared the port, he spied a huge British ship leaving it. The crews of captured ships were taken prisoner. Captains had to size up their enemies fast. The captain of the Golden Eagle said the ship was the Achilles. It had 42 guns and 140 men sailing on it. That meant it had about 3 times the fighting power of the General Pickering. Could the captain of the Golden Eagle be lying to him? Harridan could not see the British ship well enough to say, but defeating that ship was too big a temptation, and Harridan was brave and a risk-taker. So he sailed on, leaving the Golden Eagle anchored safely behind. Battle at sea. As the Achilles and the General Pickering got closer, each crew knew a fight was about to begin. But bad weather delayed the battle. Throughout the night and the next day, winds tossed the 2 ships. Neither ship could not get within shooting range of the other. While the ships circled, the people on land realized what was about to happen. They began to line the shore. Some climbed up trees, while others sat on roofs. A few took small boats out into the harbor to get a better view. Everyone wanted to watch the battle at sea. The people watched many aspects of the fight. During this time, people often watched battles as a kind of entertainment. The battle began in the early morning. The mighty British ship looked like a strong giant, while the little American ship looked like a toy ready to sink. For 3 long hours, the ships fought it out. The British Achilles began to close in. The General Pickering tried to outmaneuver it. Good winds and the dexterity of the crew brought the General Pickering alongside the British ship. It pummeled the enemy. The crew of the General Pickering fought as if their very lives depended on their winning. The attack of the crowbars. Some reports say that the General Pickering ran low on gunpowder. So the captain ordered the men to shoot crowbars from the ship's guns. The crowbars cut holes into the sides of the Achilles and shredded her sails. After a few hours, the American guns had crippled the huge Achilles. The British ship did not surrender, but she limped off. The General Pickering tried to run her down. But in the smoke and haze left from the battle, the Achilles escaped. Still, Captain Harridan was the clear winner. The crowd loved every minute of the battle. When Captain Harridan set foot on shore, they cheered and welcomed him as a hero. Captain Harridan was a brave and resourceful man. Many privateers, including the General Pickering, set out from Salem, Massachusetts. Privateers. Most people know about the brave fighting on land during the war, but many don't know the whole story of the war at sea. Most do not know how influential the privateers' contributions were to victory. The General Pickering was just one of about 2,000 of these private ships. They made up a civilian navy. This private navy fought the British. Why did people take their own ships to war? A privateer was a little like a pirate. If a crew took over a ship at sea, there were plenty of riches for everyone. There was the ship itself, plus all that it carried. Profits were huge. A man could work for a lifetime on land to make that kind of money, or he could sail on just one successful voyage. Privateers were not pirates, though. They were legal. The government gave them their authority. Some got an official letter that allowed a ship with cargo to fight back if attacked. Others got a license. They had the right to look for and attack British ships. The United States Constitution said privateers could fight back. Most privateers had been born and bred to the sea. Some were like Captain Harridan, who began his working life as a seaman apprentice. Once he had learned all he could, he went on to get a ship of his own. This made privateers fine sailors and a real threat to the British Navy. Many of the privateers were patriots and were not attacking British ships just for the profits. They also wanted to defeat the British Navy for their country. These men of the sea were angry about new taxes. They were angry about changes that were taking away their trade at sea. They wanted their rights. Sailors all over the colonies became patriots at sea. The British had the greatest navy in the world, so they expected to win the war. Their ships could move all the men and supplies they wanted across the ocean. They could easily outnumber the Patriots. The U.S. Navy could not stop the British because at the start of the war there was no U.S. Navy. The Americans quickly tried to put one together, but some warships never even went to sea because the British burned them first. So the U.S. Navy needed the privateers. Because of them, the British were never safe on the sea. The privateers helped the United States win the war. The damage privateers did. Captured 16 British warships. Taken as prizes 600 British merchant ships. Cashed in some $18 million worth of goods. Responding. Target vocabulary. Word builder. Make a chart listing people whom you think of as authorities. Name the authority. Tell what the authority does. Copy this chart and then add to it. Write about it. Text to text. The government made the privateers into authorities. Describe how the privateers helped the government. Include some words from the chart in your writing. Target vocabulary. Apprentice. Aspects. Authorities. Bondage. Contributions. Dexterity. Influential. Persuade. Provisions. Tentative. Target strategy. Summarize. Briefly tell the important parts of the text in your own words. Word teaser. Change one vowel in this vocabulary word to make a new word that means covering for a wound.